Hi, I'm trying to reach Bloody Mary and Freddy the 13th. This is their uncle, Charles. Welcome to Terrorpy! I'm Freddy the 13th.
I am Bloody Mary.
What are we talking about this week, Mary?
The thing that brought us together, the thing that we always talk about, we've mentioned Chucky so many times on many other episodes, not even just on Terrorpy, but also on Cinemeal. We do nothing but shoot the and talk about Chucky.
Before we get into the episode proper, how are you this week? What's going on in your life? What have you been watching?
We have not had a proper Terrorpy episode in some weeks. We've been going really, really hard on our Halloween special, and we're very excited for you guys to check that out by the time Halloween comes around.
I'm actually really mentally depressed that we haven't done this in like a month.
I know. I've been feeling the effects of that for sure.
Yeah. I have like notes upon notes of like ideas and things I felt and things I've watched that have elicited feelings. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like a lot has happened since the last time we shot a proper Terrorpy episode. I'm going through a breakup and I want to be, pretty transparent about that. I'm not going to go into the finer details of anything, but I'm definitely feeling the after effects of that. I'm trying to censor myself. I'm definitely feeling the after effects of that and how you can pick up behaviors after a relationship. And those are the things that I'm really dealing with right now. Trying to process, trying to be really healthy about it, being open and honest with the people in my life about where I'm at. But yeah, I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing really good despite the circumstances.
You kind of had to, though. Like we kind of both have. Like we've just been going. And especially you, because you like definitely like when you see it, she basically leads the Halloween episode. Like full force, which I'm very proud of you for doing.
Thank you.
So you're going through a lot when you did it.
Yeah.
But like, I also feel like on the heels of that is what like helped you get through it.
Yeah.
Made you feel better, at least from my perspective.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've been telling people, that aside from my relationship, which is why it eventually ended, inevitably, everything else in my life has made me so happy and has brought me out of quite a deep depression. When I was out in LA, I was very, very depressed, probably the worst, deepest depression I've had in my entire life. And I've had several episodes before, but this was something else. Coming back to where I am now, reconnecting with everybody that was in my life and getting back to the things that I love to do and starting this podcast and all the other projects that I'm getting to work on. I mean, I'm finally doing the thing that I always wanted to do. And that's been such an incredible blessing in my life. So I feel incredibly grateful and happy in those avenues. It was just this one thing that I knew had to come to an end. And that was what was kind of keeping me in that place. And now that I'm out of it, I'm dealing with the aftermath. I'm dealing with the aftermath. That's primarily what I've been going through. But for the most part, I know that I'm coming out of it. I feel like I'm coming out of it. And you've been such a great help. And you've been like a very primary person in guiding me through this situation.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, we are very similar with a lot of that stuff, with the relationship stuff. I had gone through one semi-similar and another one kind of adjacent right before you.
Yeah.
And like, I've told everybody whenever they ask, I'm like, nah, man, like, I wish I could be a better friend to you than like as much as you are to me, because like there's a constant like checking on me. And like, that's kind of where this came from, was like me just like at my lowest and you were checking on me and we just spoke about stuff.
Yeah. I
have some stuff that I want to get off my chest. In a later episode we've talked about, and I'll bring it back to this, how you deal with the fallout of relationships. But one of the things I really want to talk about, because we've had some people who've commented and reached out about how this show helped them a lot. And it kind of was parallel to something that happened to me over the summer. When I was growing up, there is this website called Ain't It Cool News. And now it's canceled because the guy who ran it, Harry Knowles, is a piece of shit. But all the people on there were like, it was the first journalism place for fans by fans. And they spoke with their hearts. They led with their hearts. And in particular, there was several people that I read growing up. Eric Vespi is one of them. He literally started as like a teenager for Ain't It Cool News. There was also several other places where I read Scott Wampler, who is another journalist. And growing up, reading their writings was very important to me because it felt like I was talking to a friend. It was the first time I didn't feel like someone was talking down to me. No one was cold to me about it. They were just like, these are the things we love, and we're going to talk about how much we love them, and we're going to celebrate this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people have reached out and been like, what I love about both Cinemail and Terrorpy is it feels like a friend's talking to me.
Yeah.
Like we're having a conversation. And when I first got started, when I was writing for a Blumhouse and Dread Central, that's how I wrote. And some people liked it and loved it, and some people were very angry about it. They wanted CNN style shit. They wanted like, I just wanted to share my love. Yeah. I remember I wrote an article literally about Amityville Awakening, which is by Frank Calhoun. And at the end of the article, I wrote, man, Frank, this isn't the best movie, but I really enjoyed it. And you know what? You can do no wrong because you made that Maniac remake. That's amazing. And I remember I shared it, and he tweeted me back and was like, yo, dude, you're great. Thank you. But so many people were mad how I wrote that. So Scott Wamper and Eric Vespi during the pandemic started the Kingcast, which shout out to another podcast that kind of helped inspire me. It's a Stephen King podcast where they talk about their favorite Stephen King adaptations with celebrities. And over the summer, we had a lot of stuff go down. I lost my job amongst people dying, all kinds of stuff. The first omen for me of things to go down this summer was Scott Wampler passed away the day before I lost my job. That like hit me. I was like, this was a voice from my childhood that taught me it was okay to talk about entertainment journalism as if you were talking to friends. And that was really important to me. He passed away, and we've had a backlog of episodes for both shows he did, The Spiel, which is a Steven Spielberg show, and Kingcast. And recently, the very last episode he recorded aired. And so there's no more Scott Wampler in my life. And that hit me so fucking hard. Like it hurt. It's like a hero of mine. But what was even crazier was because Scott and Eric were such big Stephen King proponents, they had Stephen King on their podcast. They became huge fans and friends of Mike Flanagan's, who does so many of Stephen King's adaptations. Recently, there is a adaptation called The Life of Chuck, which is a short story, basically guy during the apocalypse, best way I can put it, but it's not so horror related, most uplifting ending to a Stephen King book from what I hear. I didn't want to spoil too much of it for myself or the audience, but Scott and Eric have cameos in it. And
that's
Mike
so cool.
dedicated the entire film to Scott. So that it played at a film festival. I'm going to get so teary-eyed. Yeah. It played at a film festival recently with Mark Hamill and Stephen King in attendance. And by all accounts, at the end of the film, when Mike Flanagan dedicated a Stephen King movie to Scott Wampler, it says, for our friend Scott, the entire audience who have known Scott in the entertainment industry for years applauded and cheered. Yeah. And I'm fucking crying listening to this. I'm at work fucking crying. And I was like, my God, that's like an end of an era. But like, and Eric's still going with the Kingcast. Shout out to you, Eric. I don't know if you'll ever watch this. I love you, man. But like, if we can continue on that kind of legacy and just give that handshake and continue what Ain't It Cool News was to me as a kid, as opposed to what it became, that is very important to me. Yeah. And I love that about our show, that we can do that.
I love that about our show too. Like when we first originally started coming up with the concept for this podcast, it just started out as, we're just going to sit around, shoot the shit, talk about
that's all I wanted
horror
to do.
Movies. And then we started really doing a deep dive into mental health and spirituality. And then that's kind of how we came up with this idea of how there are so many podcasts and shows and people talking about why they love horror, but nobody really deep dives into the inner psyche of like truly why we love horror, other than like, I just like it and the kills are super cool, or artistic direction, which is like, that's part of it. That's such an amazing big component of horror. But horror fans, all of us, it doesn't matter what kind of horror. We're very emotionally in tune people. So I feel like this has been something so special, and I don't want to like toot our own horn, but important, because I feel like this is opening conversation for other people to like get real about why they love the things that they love. And because of the situation that I've been going through, I've been really reflecting on how much I've grown in the past couple years and how much I just deeply love people. I mean, the first time that I meet anybody, my first question is, okay, so what's the dream? Like, what do you want in your life more than anything? And it doesn't have to be a career or anything like that. But what's that one thing that just like really gets you going, that you really, really want out of life? And I love listening to people talk about their history leading up to the thing that they always wanted. And I feel like this is also opening that conversation of
that stepping
why
stone,
people love the things that they love. I just love people. I think people are the coolest.
You know, in this day and age, it's hard to find people that want to have a conversation. It's always like, who wants to talk first, or who's yelling, or who's like, it's just like, there's no conversation. It's like, who's right and who's wrong. So it's like really hard to find. I feel like with this show, especially, we found a lot of people who like actually want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And it goes back to my thought process of like, horror people really actually feel and like want to be nice and want to have a conversation, because we are those motherfuckers that got picked on and shit on all the time.
Yeah.
So like, we know what it's like. We don't want to be that way.
I think we're a very passionate, select group of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
No, I feel it.
We're a very passionate group of people. So I think, once again, we're just very in tune with our emotions and wanting to connect with other people because of maybe we were isolated growing up for liking the things that we did like. So when you find your tribe, then I don't know, you just open the floodgates. You find so many people who are just like you, who are
your hellhound.
Yeah, who are so passionate about the things that you're passionate about. And maybe it's not exactly the same thing, but it's so nice to hear, oh, I love this movie and this is the impact that it had on my life. Which brings me to, we have a lot of comments about people talking about movies that they love and the way that it's impacted their life. Thank you, by the way, for sharing your comments and sharing your experiences. Thank you for getting vulnerable with us. That has been like
a big one, yeah.
Yeah, if we're not responding to all the comments, we try to. But it's been a really, really beautiful experience. So if you've like opened up to us in the comments, then thank you so much. That's the coolest thing. Yeah, that's why we do what we do. Connor says, can't quite put my finger on it, but I have a feeling these people enjoy horror movies. You don't say. Thank you. True.
Yeah, truth bomb.
From Joey. Oh, it's your Joey. It's
Joey?
Not very spooky, but Matilda is one of my favorite witch movies. We were talking about
Trenchable.
Yeah.
That's definitely like, that's kinder horror and horror adjacent.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that part where she sneaks into her house. I love that part.
Tension.
Yeah.
I mean, we also got to preface like the old school 90s Matilda, not the musical. Yeah.
Did you not like the musical?
I got like 10, 15 minutes into it and I was like, eh.
I was a theater kid growing up. I used to listen to that thing all the time. When I watched the movie adaptation, which the girl who's playing Matilda is Abigail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me sob from beginning to end.
I
thought it was incredibly beautiful.
I love musicals. It's just like, we're getting old, so that like 90s, 2000s nostalgia kick is like, no, don't take that from me.
That's true. I get that. I just have a sentiment with the Matilda musical. They do a little bit more of a deep dive into Matilda and Miss Honey with their like inner workings. It's very emotional. When I grow up, that song specifically talking about how adults, when I grow up, I'm going to be brave and strong and I'm going to do all these super innocent things. They like, oh, we're going to eat candy all day and cute shit. And then you see Miss Honey talking about like, when I grow up, I want to be like a brave, strong woman because of all the shit that I had to deal with in my childhood. I'm going to cry. Like that song makes me like so emotional. It's such a beautiful song. Anyway, thank you, Joey. Jeremy, our favorite boy. Oh, he's talking about The Witches 1990 as a kid.
Roald Dahl, dude, with Angelica Houston, Addams Family.
It may not have been horror proper. I'd say it's horror adjacent.
Proper.
Yeah, it's kinder horror.
And Del Toro did wrote the remake.
I haven't seen the remake. That's one with Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, I actually really like it. It's also got a much darker ending, kind of like the novel. And it's directed by Robert Zemeckis, who made Back to the Future.
Interesting. Yeah. That's actually really on brand. That's really interesting.
It's a weird because Del Toro and Zemeckis, which Del Toro is such a student of cinema, where I'm like, dog, I know you're like freaking out, like, the Back to the Future movie's amazing. And Robert Zemeckis is like, thanks.
Thank you.
I'll make some witches for you.
And it's really kitschy. I love a little campy.
Those makeup effects though are fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Where they're like tearing their faces off. I'm trying to remember the effects artist because it is like a pretty big one. I want to say, oh my God, it's someone big. Put it on the screen and then tell me I'm an idiot because I know later I'm going to be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that movie fucked me up as a kid.
Which I think is what he was getting at. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, because I completely agree. That's definitely in line with gateway horror for sure. Hi, Mommy. Hi, Mom. She said, I think the first horror movie I saw was Friday the 13th.
Hell yeah.
It was the very early 80s. We had something called On TV, which was like a precursor to HBO. Also, The Twilight Zone was always on. The little girl who disappears into the wall was my favorite. That and Talking Tina. Ooh, I love Talking Tina. That I really loved. This is so on topic for what we're about to get into for Chucky. I love the ideas of like
killer dolls.
Scary
dolls.
Yeah, because I had so many dolls.
I fucking love Twilight Zone. The series and the movie.
Yeah. So dope. Thank you, Mommy. Hi. I've also been doing a David Lynch deep dive, which is her favorite director. So
Elephant Man is my jams.
Yeah. I recently watched Eraserhead. That's just batshit crazy.
That's what happens when you're not ready for parenthood.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, the trials and tribulations of a first-time parent.
Yeah.
Dope.
It also reminds me, if you ever watch David Cronenberg's The Brood, that's literally a movie he made after his divorce where he's just like, my kids are fucking terrifying and so is my ex-wife. So they're murdering everything. I was like, you watch that movie and you're like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with this man? Then again, you watch every David Cronenberg movie and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. That's just his shit.
No, for real.
All right. And then we have one that, came 3 days ago. Well, when we're shooting this, 3 days ago. We talked about you in our group chat because we thought this was so cool. Okay. Recently came across this podcast. I think it's the second or third I've listened to. God, I'd love to be a third host or a guest speaker. This describes exactly what I've been missing. A friend and I have bonded over our love for exposure to horror films since a very young age and have had a traumatic upbringing, just like Freddy and I. The latter being thanks to undiagnosed mental illnesses from our mothers, religious trauma, and growing up queer in the Black community in the South. I have comfort classic horror movies that I rewatch to this day. They help me process and recenter myself, like a long overdue bubble bath, if that makes sense. Really hope this podcast grows. Thank you so much. Thank you for getting vulnerable with us. Yeah, I really love that.
The religious comment and the, traumatic upbringing. I mean, like my entire, a fun fact about me, I can't drive. I have like a crippling phobia of driving.
Me too.
Because of both my mother and my grandmother. Like very abusive stuff.
Yeah.
I'll get into at some point, but which actually also partly religious. Probably why I mentioned Carrie 35 times on this podcast.
Yeah.
That movie hits me hard, dude.
Which is why I said, you're Carrie. But I do think you're Carrie.
I'm Sissy Spacek as fuck.
Yeah, I think you really identify with her.
I mean, homie, honestly, Carrie's probably the movie that taught me the most. We joke a lot and I have a lot of female friends, and Mary and I were actually talking about this not too long ago. How most of my dude friends are like, "Oh, you tapping that?" I'm like, "No, motherfucker. Yeah. I have really good female friends because I'm basically a woman."
Shut up.
Dog, I am so in tune with my feminine side.
Yeah.
I'm I don't know. I just think I'm pretty well rounded, and I feel like I felt Carrie when she's in that bathroom and she's like, ah.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think that's why we started this podcast to begin with, is to open up conversation about this kind of thing. So that means a lot that you're relating to us. And I really, really relate to your comment.
So speaking of trauma, Chucky got canceled.
Yeah.
And my heart was broken forever.
I personally think it was intentional.
So we can get the movie?
I really do think, because they confirmed that there's going to be a movie and that there's, the fourth season.
A lot of money because the effects on that very last episode were...
Yeah, I'm assuming, that this was intentional so they can put all their focus into another movie. Though I am upset that we're not getting a fourth season, I'm almost relieved.
If we get that movie, I'm down.
I haven't heard anything about the movie being canceled. If the movie was canceled... There's no way.
Brad Dourif retired. He said, I'm only going to voice Chucky the rest of my life. Let's go.
Yeah, I think Don wouldn't even let that happen. He's like, y'all don't want to fund me? Then fuck it. I'll start a Kickstarter and the fans can fund me.
Here's the thing that's amazing about that show. It's fucking Jeffrey Reddick, I believe is his name. Creator of Final Destination is a writer-producer on the show. Nick Ancosta, the creator of Channel Zero, writer-producer on the show, along with Don Mancini, who's been with the series since day one, and David Kirshner producing, who has also been in the series since day one, and the entire surviving Chucky family, including Tony fucking Gardner, who has been updating the puppetry every single movie and episode.
Yeah.
This is a fucking powerhouse.
It is a powerhouse.
It bonded the union of USA Network and Sci-Fi Channel into an unholy show. And they said, fuck a lot on this show. I remember this show was coming and so many people were like, it's going to take its balls off. And I'm like, dog.
No, it doesn't.
Also, like, fucking one of the best LGBTQ plus fucking shows out there. I mean, and then Glinda came back. I was like, please God, yes, more.
Yeah.
Also, best line ever. I think we've talked about it on the show. I'm not a monster, Jake. I got a gender fluid kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah, dude.
Okay, so when
Chucky is more fucking nice than most of the world, we're fucked.
Okay.
Chucky knows what's up.
When someone has told you that they haven't seen Chucky before, do you split it up into sections? Because that's how I do it.
I get angry.
Oh my God. Okay.
No, okay. So here's the thing. Like, once again, and this kind of goes back to like us not able to find our people and shit like that.
Yeah.
Most of the time when I tell people, like, I love Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th is probably my favorite franchise. My favorite slasher besides Jason is Chucky.
Yeah.
My favorite talking slasher would be Chucky. I mean, I would see him go to toe-to-toe with Freddy in a verbal match any day, and Chucky would fucking win.
Yeah.
That being said, I am so sick
He's just so quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's quick-witted and quick in general. But I'm just so sick of like, well, I would just punt the motherfucker. I'm like, dude, if you saw a fucking doll come alive, no.
That would scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
You're afraid of Annabelle? Come on.
Yeah, come on now.
Come on.
So, I mean, honestly, like, there's really 3 generations of Chucky if you look at it. There is the first 3 movies, which Tom Holland, not Spidey, but Tom Holland, who wrote Psycho 2, directed the first one and set the voodoo magic in there. Then you have 2 and 3.
The
campiness, which 2 actually, I think, of all the movies, Child's Play 2 is the most terrifying.
I agree.
It is.
I completely agree.
So fucking scary. It's the way they frame him, and like the whole when Chucky's rebuilt in part 2 with the eyes going in, and that's how it reactivates him. That's like the soul. And then when you have Chucky at the end with the knife hand and like he's falling apart and shit, I'm like, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I will say, Bride is my favorite. My personal favorite. It's a comfort
the second
movie.
Generation.
Yeah, it's so good. It's my favorite. But I will say that if I had to say which one was the best one out of the entire franchise, it's 2.
2, yeah.
Hands down. The story is amazing. The way that it's shot is amazing.
The kills.
The design of Chucky is so iconic.
Bad. And he fucking like kills her with a ruler.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So yeah. And then Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky. I mean, those are only 2 movies, but that's a whole other series.
Yeah, that's like restarting the way that I feel like gave Chucky his personality, because it was already kind of campy 80s and weird, but they were still like really heavy on the horror, like trying to freak people out.
I do feel like
they like go heavy on the camp.
Scream inflance. That 90s style.
It is.
And then of course like Seed goes 2000s insane balls out. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna rephrase. I think there's four types of Chucky. You got the first 3, Bride and Seed. Then you have Cult and Curse.
And then you have the show.
Then you have the show. Because Cult and Curse is a combo of the first 2 versions of Chucky.
Yeah.
Especially Curse is like a gothic horror.
Yeah.
And then you get the show. Which, interestingly enough, back in the day when I was writing for Dread, we did our top 5 movies of the year. And one of my top 5 was Cult of Chucky. It was really dope, because Jennifer Tilly and Don Mancini both shared my articles, and I lost my shit.
Yeah.
So when I met Don Mancini, I was like, hey, man, I don't know if you know me, but like I'm Freddie Ruiz, and I wrote for Dread. And he's like, I read the article. And I was like,
that's so cool.
And so I got to talking with him about his first movie he wrote, Cellar Dweller, which was back at Empire Pictures, Full Moon Pictures, whichever iteration you want to call it. It's Charles Band's company. But he had a scene in there, because the premise of that movie is there is like an artist who has like a demon coming through their comic book. And so he had a scene where the demon comes out of paint, and the paint goes around this room and goes into these different bowls of food. And the whole tension of it is, whose bowl of food is the paint in that the monster's going to jump out of? So he took that. Now, this is 1980 something, mind you.
Yeah.
And Curse of Chucky was like 2013, 14. All those years later, he took that scene and rewrote it to be the poison scene of which bowl of chili did Chucky put the poison in.
Yeah.
Which, first of all, if you're an aspiring filmmaker or writer, goes to show you, never throw your shit away. It can always come back around.
Yeah.
And second of all, it made me so happy to hear that from Don.
Yeah.
I love Don Mancini. Don Mancini's the shit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Dope.
and then of course, the show.
I should have watched a recap. I won't lie.
Best Halloween opener.
I was really excited when it first got announced. I will say it is a different vibe. It's its own, era of Chucky. I'd say it leans pretty heavy into a teen drama, which is also very up my alley.
I am also very in love with Jake Devon. Oh my God, they're so fucking cute.
They are very cute. They're also incredibly talented actors. I really, really hope that they get kept on for the future movies.
I feel like they were.
They have
I want them to have their
trio.
happy ending.
Yeah, they have such a great chemistry.
Oh my God.
Insane. Especially
Lexi's
since they're
arc.
so young. She's my favorite.
I hated her for so long.
I did too.
Hated her for so long.
I did too, but that just goes to show that Olivia is a powerhouse. Like, y'all aren't ready for what Olivia's about to do, because the second that she starts venturing off into bigger projects, I really hope that people start recognizing her talent. Y'all aren't ready for Olivia.
Devon Sawa.
Yeah.
Reincarnated, if you will. Okay, Devon Sawa is the twin dads, which Devon Sawa is Jake's dad. Fucked with me so bad. Oh my! And then Lexi, I was like, "Fuck you, bitch!" Like, I hate you, man. I felt seen.
Yeah.
And then he plays Junior's dad. And then season 2, he's the father.
Yeah.
Which best death ever.
Yeah.
When he's possessed by Chucky.
Oh my God.
He's
so
like,
dope.
it's like he's acting as both Charles Lee Ray and the priest, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta protect you," and he's Chucky comes out and he goes, "That's all, father," and blows the fuck up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Then he's the president in season 3. It's just like, dear God, that was, people are like, "Oh man, all the actors that keep repeating in American Horror Story." Let me tell you about the actor who repeats in Chucky, Devon fucking Sawa.
Yeah.
So he better be back for that movie. Yeah.
A very dynamic actor. I will say that I do favor the campier Chucky over everything else. And then I probably think the original. I am not the biggest fan of Curse and Cult.
I love Curse and Cult.
I'm fine with it. It's just not my favorite, just because it like hits a halt. Also, I do appreciate that they almost started this new life for him, that they were kind of going off of just your typical slasher franchise without an underlying plot. There was an underlying plot, but eventually it kind of mellows out and they switch narratives.
I love the acting of these movies where all, like I said, back to Devon Sawa, but also Fiona Dourif has like one of the most amazing acting performances in Curse of Chucky, where she has to play her dad. Oh my God, dude. And I got to meet Fiona and I talked to her. I was like, I was a motherfucking theater kid. And we geeked out and shit like that. It was so fucking dope. She's so cool. And her playing her dad in full Charles Lee Ray makeup with Brad Dourif doing the voice. Yeah. Fucking amazing.
That blew me away. I was like, damn, bitch, you really got it.
Yeah.
Wow. It is insane how, I mean, obviously she looks just like her father, but can fully bring that out of her. Wow. Yeah. That was insane.
And then of course, Jennifer Tilly, love of my life.
For real. Girl.
One day I'll meet her.
I love that woman.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Oh my God. So talented. So talented.
I also got to give super accolades. Because you got to talk about the fact that, especially in Seed of Chucky, she shits all over her entire career.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes her so cool is that she is self-aware. She's like, I do this shit because I genuinely love it, and I can be silly.
That takes such courage to be like, look at this fat bitch. She's so fat. She's making fun of her weight the entire movie as Tiffany. Yeah. Making fun of Jennifer Tilly. Yeah. And then she's making fun of her career hardcore in the show. Yeah. And she's coming out with these stellar performances of just mental breakdowns. Yeah. Mixed with murderous vigor. Mm-hmm. It's insane. She's fucking perfect.
Yeah, she is perfect. And I love how close she is with Dawn, that they have such a nice relationship. I love that.
All of them are so fucking tight, though.
That's the kind of set that I would love to be on. That's like a dream that I would love to be on Chucky at least some point.
God damn, I want that movie so bad.
I know.
lamenting Chucky's cancellation, but hopeful for the future with another movie.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts, Mary.
I hate Child's Play 3, and I don't think that you ever have to watch it. We can just pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sorry. I just don't like
worst
it.
movie, best line. This is his uncle, Charles.
Yeah. It just feels so out of character for him.
What, to go to a military school?
No, it just feels so out of character for Chucky. Like, it just doesn't...
For him to go to a military school?
No,
like, what do you mean?
I don't even know how to explain it. It just doesn't fit the vibe with the rest of the entire franchise.
I gotta go find Andy.
That though they're split up into different eras, he like continues to grow into his personality. And that's the one that I'm like, this one just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, I'm just like, I don't disagree. I'm just like, well, tell me more.
No, that's
tell
it.
me more. Was it love at first sight? You know, like
Nah. Everything else is perfect and I love it. I mean, I deeply, deeply love Chucky and I have since I was a child.
Can we give ranking from best to worst? Final thoughts for that.
Best to worst or favorite?
Best to worst.
Best to worst? God damn it. Okay. Best 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then Bride. 1. Are we counting the show?
I mean, the show is its own entity, but you can
Let's
count the
just do
show
the
as its
movie.
a whole.
Let's just, the show as a whole? Oh, that's hard. Okay. 2, Bride, original show. Curse, Cult, 3.
You're forgetting Seed. Is Seed the worst? You
Shit.
Seed before
God
3.
damn it. Seed before 3.
That's my exact.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my actually.
Freddie and I agree.
I think
Everybody, Freddie and I agree.
because 2's my favorite. That's my exact. All right, everybody. Hopefully you've been terrorized this week. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Hit that sexy like, subscribe, comment, share, all of the above.
Hit that notification bell.
Yeah. I have been Freddy the 13th.
I'm Bloody Mary.
See you next time.
Look at the fear in her eye.
Yeah.
She's like, what the fuck?
I love Chucky.